They say Kansas is flat. But they haven't stood at the edge of a chalk cliff in the western high plains. They haven't walked the tallgrass prairie where fire shapes the horizon. And they've never looked down from a red sandstone bluff to see a sea of stone in every direction. This isn't a state without features. It's a state whose features have stayed hidden until now. Kansas is a state carved by wind and water, by prehistoric seas and ancient rivers, by shifting plates and grinding time. From Badlands and buttes in the west, to glacial valleys and forested bluffs in the east, this land holds stories older than the prairie. It's a place of layered stone, fragile arches, salt flats, and fossils left by creatures that swam where cattle now graze. Yet most of it is unseen, not because it's hidden, but because it's been passed by. In this journey, we'll follow the land, region by region, formation by formation, to rediscover what Kansas truly is, a landscape etched by oceans, shaped by fire, and still unfolding beneath the surface. In the remote high plains of western Kansas, rising suddenly from a flat horizon of grass and sky, are a series of towering chalk formations known as monument rocks. These weathered spires, fins, and arches seem like ruins, but they weren't built. They were left behind. Around 80 million years ago, this region lay beneath the waters of the Western Interior Seaway, a vast inland ocean that split North America in two. Over time, layers of microscopic marine life settled to the seafloor, eventually forming chalk beds hundreds of feet thick. And from that, monument rocks emerged, sculpted by wind, rain, and relentless erosion. The formations can reach up to 70 feet tall, with natural arches, jagged ridges, and narrow corridors where light and shadow stretch across fossil-rich stone. Within the chalk are the preserved remains of ancient marine reptiles, like mosasaurs and plesiosaurs, locked in stone where the sea once roamed. Set against nothing but sky, these ghostly white monuments feel both fragile and eternal. They are not Kansas' future, but its ancient memory, standing upright on a plain that remembers everything. Just southeast of Monument Rocks, hidden among rolling grasslands and dry creek beds, rises another surreal relic of Kansas' ancient seabed, Castle Rock. A solitary limestone spire surrounded by eroded cliffs and crumbling badlands. Though it once stood nearly 70 feet tall, erosion has sculpted and fractured it over time, giving it the look of a medieval tower in ruins, stranded in the prairie. Around it, jagged pinnacles and gullies stretch across the earth like an abandoned fortress eroded by centuries of wind. Castle Rock, like Monument Rocks, was formed from the chalky remains of marine life in the Western Interior Seaway. But here, the formations feel more precarious, fragile, fractured, and constantly changing. Heavy rains have collapsed entire sections in the past, and the surrounding badlands reveal fresh layers of stone after every storm. There's no sound here but wind and meadowlarks, and no signpost but the rock itself, a monument not to permanence, but to the slow and patient power of time. In the extreme northwest corner of Kansas, where the plains roll toward Colorado and Nebraska, the land suddenly fractures. Here lie the Arikaree Breaks, a rugged maze of ravines, gullies, and steep, chalky bluffs that look nothing like the Kansas most imagine. Carved by water over thousands of years, these Badlands are made of soft loess soil, wind-blown silt deposited during the Ice Age. The result is a chaotic landscape of crumbling walls and narrow valleys, some plunging more than 100 feet deep. Grass waves gently above, while erosion etches intricate patterns below. Few people visit. There are no visitor centers, no trails, and often not even signage. Just the silence of wind in tall grass and the unexpected drama of a land that's quietly tearing itself open. The Arikaree Breaks are a testament to Kansas' unseen forces, a collision of prairie and time, where even the softest soil can become something wild. Tucked into a protected corner of Logan County, Kansas, the little Jerusalem Badlands rise like a secret skyline from the prairie. Chalk-white cliffs, spires, and gullies stretching across more than 300 acres of rolling hills. Formed from Niobrara chalk, an ancient seabed deposit, the formations date back nearly 85 million years, when the region was submerged beneath the western interior seaway. Today, the elements continue to sculpt this chalk into fragile towers and narrow canyons that give the area its name. From the rim, the view reveals a miniature labyrinth of carved corridors and eroded ridges, glowing golden in sunrise and casting long blue shadows at dusk. The site remained largely unknown for decades, privately owned and untouched, until it was opened to the public in 2019, offering trails and overlooks without disturbing its fragile geology. It's not just beauty, it's rarity. In all the high plains, there's nothing else like it. And in a state famous for sky and grass, Little Jerusalem stands as a cathedral built by wind and time, hidden in full view. In the heart of Kansas, where ancient seas once stirred, stand formations that look like something from another planet, massive stone mushrooms, balanced delicately on thin pedestals of eroded sandstone. This is Mushroom Rock State Park, a geological oddity tucked into the Smoky Hills. The mushrooms were formed during the Cretaceous period, when sand, silt, and minerals fused into thick layers of Dakota sandstone. Over millions of years, differential erosion carved the softer layers away, leaving behind these surreal rock sculptures that seem to defy gravity. Though the park is small, just 5 acres, its formations are unforgettable. Some appear as round boulders perched on narrow stems. Others look like petrified umbrellas or stone anvils from ancient folklore. Their shapes shift in the light, casting shadows that stretch across golden grass. These are not monuments built by man. They are monuments forgotten by time. And they stand not as decoration, but as evidence of ancient upheaval, weather, water, and patience stacked into impossible balance. If you're seeing Kansas in a new light, subscribe to Era Trails and explore the unseen edges of the world, one wonder at a time. More surprises lie just ahead. In the central Smoky Hills region of Kansas, one bluff rises above the patchwork prairie, a high ridge capped not just by stone, but by legend. This is Coronado Heights, where history, geology, and myth all converge under open sky. named after the Spanish explorer Francisco Vázquez de Coronado, who is believed to have passed near this site in search of the mythical Seven Cities of Gold. The hill offers panoramic views of the surrounding plains. But what draws the eye is the castle-like structure that crowns the summit, built in the 1930s by the Works Progress Administration using native Dakota sandstone. Beneath the surface, the bluff itself is a geologic outlier, a rugged spur of resistant sandstone, part of the same ancient formation that shapes Mushroom Rock. Over millions of years, erosion has left this elevated spine exposed, giving it the stature of a natural lookout. From the top, the landscape rolls out in every direction. Fields, creeks, and grasslands layered like a living map. And while Coronado never found gold, he stood where you now stand, between stone and sky, searching for something sacred in the horizon. In central Kansas, where the Smoky Hills descend into winding valleys, lies one of the state's most geologically diverse regions, Canopoulos Lake and the surrounding Badlands, gorges, and sandstone cliffs. This landscape is carved from Dakota sandstone, a thick layer of ancient beach and river deposits from over 100 million years ago. Today, the land is split by deep canyons, narrow gullies, and red-walled cliffs, some with natural arches and overhangs, others hollowed into shallow caves. Trails like the Buffalo Track Canyon and Horse Thief Canyon weave through this layered terrain, past stone formations that glow orange at dusk and echo underfoot. The creeks cut through bedrock, revealing fossil-rich outcrops and ripple marks left by vanished currents. The lake itself is man-made, but it mirrors something timeless. The sky above, the stone below, and the slow work of water carving memory into the earth. Few places in Kansas pack this much variety into one scene. Canyon, lake, prairie, and stone, all colliding in one breathe. In south-central Kansas, the prairie begins to ripple. Red buttes rise from the grass, striped with white mineral veins. Mesas and box canyons break the horizon. This is the Gypsum Hills, also called the Red Hills, one of Kansas' most unexpected and colorful landscapes. Unlike the chalky formations of the west or the sandstone bluffs of the center, the Gypsum Hills are composed of Permian-age shale and siltstone, rich in iron oxides that give the land its deep red hue. Threaded throughout is gypsum, a soft, pale mineral that weathers into ribbons, crystals, and thin white lines across the hillsides. Erosion has sculpted the region into rugged mesas, steep ravines, and natural arches. Seasonal rains bring temporary waterfalls and lush greenery that contrasts brilliantly against the rust-colored rock. Salt flats and alkaline soils hint at a time when this area was part of a vast inland sea. This is where Kansas starts to feel more like New Mexico or Arizona, a quiet desert hiding in the heart of the plains, rich with color, wildlife, and silence that stretches for miles. At the heart of the Flint Hills, in east-central Kansas, lies the Tallgrass Prairie National Preserve. a rare remnant of an ecosystem that once stretched across 170 million acres of North America. Today, less than 4% remains, and this is where it still breathes. Named for the chert and flint in its rocky soil, the Flint Hills were too rough to plow, preserving the big bluestem, switchgrass, and Indian grass that ripple across the horizon like ocean waves. Wildflowers bloom in spring, and greater prairie chickens perform ancient mating dances in the tall grass. To walk this prairie is to walk through time, a living landscape shaped by fire, wind, and resilience. It's not just grass, it's memory written in root and sky. Stretching for nearly 50 miles along Highway 177, the Flint Hills Scenic Byway offers one of the most immersive drives in the American Midwest. Here, the road doesn't cut through the land, it flows with it, rising and falling with the rhythm of the last great tallgrass prairie. On either side, waves of golden grass stretch beyond the horizon, broken only by the distant line of hills. The byway winds past stone fences, historic ranches, creeks, limestone bluffs, and skies that seem to double the space. In spring, fire scars the land black, only to be followed weeks later by green that glows from within. There's no noise here, just the hush of tires on pavement, the sweep of wind, and the occasional rustle of deer in the grass. You don't pass through the Flint Hills, you drift with them. Each overlook is a moment, each curve is a view, and every mile is a reminder that sometimes the most powerful landscapes are the ones that refuse to be rushed. Enjoying the hidden side of Kansas? Subscribe to Era Trails for more cinematic journeys through Earth's best preserved places, where wonder unfolds one region at a time. Just south of Manhattan, Kansas, the Konza Prairie Biological Station preserves one of the most studied and untouched stretches of tallgrass prairie in North America. But what sets it apart isn't just the view. It's the science beneath your feet. Spread across more than 8,600 acres, this living research site is part of the Flint Hills, with limestone ridges and grass-covered slopes that roll for miles. Managed by Kansas State University and the Nature Conservancy, it's a place where natural beauty and ecological research move in tandem. Walking the Konza trails, you pass through native bluestem and switchgrass that can reach over 6 feet tall, cross seasonal streams, and ascend ridgelines that give panoramic views of unbroken prairie. Beneath the surface, decades of research measure everything from carbon cycles to bison impact to the long-term effects of fire. This is where data and poetry meet, where the prairie isn't just scenery, it's a laboratory of resilience. And every gust of wind that moves the grass is a whisper from a system that's older, deeper, and more alive than it seems. In the gently rising hills of Chase County, nestled within the folds of the tallgrass prairie, Chase Lake Falls tumbles quietly over limestone ledges. A rare Kansas waterfall, hidden where few think to look. Fed by Chase Lake and its outflow stream, the falls cascade through layers of Permian limestone, which eroded over millennia to form shallow shelves, pools, and rippling flows. The water cuts gently through the rock, glimmering in sunlight, especially after seasonal rains. Surrounded by rolling grasslands and scattered trees, the falls aren't massive, but they're meditative, a symphony of stillness and sound, set to the rhythm of wind across Prairie. Wildflowers line the banks in spring, and deer often appear at dusk. In a state where most think of flatness, Chase Lake Falls is a reminder that water still shapes the land here. Not loudly, but with grace and quiet force, flowing through a landscape that listens. In southeastern Kansas, tucked along the Elk River and framed by forested hills, lies the town of Elk Falls. A place that blends natural beauty, historical decay, and small-town charm into one surreal experience. At its center, the Elk River tumbles over a rocky ledge, forming Elk Falls, a broad, low cascade that glides over dark limestone outcrops before pooling beneath a historic iron truss bridge. Especially after rains, the water churns and sprays against smooth stone, echoing beneath the overgrowth. But what makes this place so unique is the town itself. A fading settlement with crumbling buildings, a scattering of residents, and the nickname, the world's largest living ghost town. Art installations, pottery studios, and quirky landmarks coexist with empty homes and time-worn streets. Here, the fall is not just in the water. It's in the mood, the slow tumble of memory through a place that holds on by choice, not momentum. And like the river, Elk Falls flows quietly, still carving its story. Near the small town of Minneapolis, Kansas, the prairie suddenly scatters into stone. Over 200 massive spherical boulders, some as wide as 27 feet across, rest in open grass like a gathering of ancient sentinels. This is Rock City Park, one of the largest concentrations of sandstone concretions in the world. Formed from Dakota sandstone, these boulders took shape over millions of years as mineral-rich groundwater slowly cemented grains of sand together in concentric layers. The result is a field of almost perfectly round stones, weathered, monumental, and mysteriously placed by nature itself. Some are stacked, some cracked, others appear to have rolled and frozen mid-motion. Their surfaces are etched with grooves and patterns that catch the light at sunrise and sunset, turning this quiet patch of grass into a surreal sculpture garden of geology and erosion. To stand among them is to feel time press in from all sides, silent, heavy, and elemental. Rock City isn't just strange, it's sacred, a meeting ground between what moves and what never has. In the soft, folding landscape of eastern Kansas, where forests blend into farmland and prairie returns in gentle waves, lies Hillsdale Lake. A tranquil reservoir surrounded by wooded slopes, limestone ridges, and winding trails. Created in the 1980s by damming Big Bull Creek, the lake now serves as both a recreational space and a subtle ecological preserve. On still mornings, the lake mirrors the sky. In autumn, Its banks catch the fire of red and orange leaves. And as dusk falls, the entire basin glows gold beneath migrating birds overhead. Beneath its calm surface and forested frame, Hillsdale is where Kansas exhales, at the end of a long journey eastward. It's not wild like the Badlands, nor as storied as the tallgrass, but it's undisturbed, and that's its own kind of wonder. In the story of America's landscapes, Kansas is too often skipped over. Assumed to be empty, flat, or quiet beyond interest. But step into its canyons, its tall grass, its broken bluffs and hidden waterfalls, and another truth emerges. Kansas doesn't shout, but it speaks. From the chalk cathedrals of the high plains to the glowing sands of the Gypsum Hills, from the ocean-built buttes of the west to the ancient forests of the east, this land reveals itself slowly, in layers. Not all wonders need to tower. Some, like those in Kansas, lie just beneath the surface, waiting for light, wind, and time to uncover them. You've now seen a different Kansas, one that still holds the marks of fire, sea, and silence. A state whose story isn't missing, just misread. If this journey shifted your view, imagine what's still out there. Subscribe to Era Trails and join us as we uncover the unseen, from every state, every country, and every forgotten edge of Earth.